So when somebody dies, the question that we as a society are left to is like, well, what happens now? Who gets their stuff? Who takes care of their kids? Who takes care of their pets? Who takes care of their bank accounts and their house? The legislature of the state of Texas created a solution for that, and they call that the probate court. Basically, a specialized court to determine who gets people's stuff. And in that process, the court has to figure out who's supposed to get their stuff. Well, the first thing that people would want to do is say, well, did they leave us a note, any kind of instructions of what is supposed to happen? Well, there's a name for that document. It's called a will. If they left a will that was properly created and properly signed, because people can come in and say, well, I have this document, I have this note, I have this note. So how do we know which one it is? Well, they say, well, if you have two witnesses and a notary that all sign together, all sign in the same presence of the testator, who's the person who's writing the will, then that's what the court is going to do. We're supposed to follow their stuff. And if there's not one of those, or if there's a flaw with that document, then the court then determines who is supposed to get their stuff based on who they're related to, because they want to give it to their closest relatives, and the state of Texas took their best guess at what would want to happen. So their spouse would get it, or their kids, or their parents, or their brothers and sisters, depending on who all still is alive and that they're survived by. So the court that does that is called the probate court. And we refer to the process of determining who gets their stuff as going through probate. And there's a lot of fear about the probate court. And in Texas, the good news is it's not California. In California, the probate court should be feared. But in Texas, it's not that bad. It's really not a bad process. You submit the will to the court. You file an application for an administration. You probate is what it's called, the will. And the court then determines who gets the stuff, and they go through their processes. And then they have somebody be the either administrator or executor, depending on whether somebody did have a will or not. And then that person then is in charge of determining what the person owned, collecting it all up, and then dividing it among the people that are supposed to get it. Those people are called their heirs, or their devises or legatees. There are certain rules that they have to follow in order to do that. That process is called the probate process, and that is what we do at the Palmer Law Group. If you go to Smooth Probate, we're there to help you get through that process in the smoothest way we can. Probate can be a challenging process because people can have different expectations of what was supposed to happen. Grandma died and grandma told me I was supposed to get the wedding ring that she got. Well, grandma told me I was supposed to get the wedding ring. Well, grandpa, when he passed away, he told me I was supposed to get this. And so there's all kinds of different expectations and problems. And you can have disagreements among the family members about what was supposed to happen. Sometimes wills are not clear about what's supposed to happen. Sometimes there is no will, and it can lead to a lot of difficulties and problems. Sometimes people have taken things that they weren't supposed to take, either while the person was sick and passing away, or like shortly after they've passed away. Things can go missing: cash, jewelry, valuables, little things, sometimes accounts. Sometimes you'll have people that have put their name on the bank account with their grandparents or parents or spouse or something, and they are trying to take all the money out. Sometimes they're allowed to, sometimes they're not. All kinds of different complications that can happen. It's a complicated process. It requires an attorney in the state of Texas. But the good news is that we're here to help.